Hello, my name is Michael and today I will present our paper Auxiliary Task Guided CycleGAN for Black Box Model Domain Adaptation. Usually, existing domain adaptation methods are targeted at specific tasks or require access or even modifications to the source model for which domain adaptation is to be performed. This is a major drawback when we only have access to a black box model. Our goal is to perform unsupervised domain adaptation for black box models. In contrast to other research on domain adaptation for black box models that is focused on classification, we investigate a regression task, namely the task of human pose estimation. We compare our approach with CycleGAN and RegDA, a recent method for unsupervised domain adaptation for keypoint detection. We base our approach on CycleGAN. Inspired by multitask learning, we introduce an auxiliary task, in our case related to human pose estimation, and additional auxiliary losses. We make the discriminators for source and target domain learn to predict the auxiliary task besides performing domain discrimination. For our experiments, we used our motion capture system to acquire a synchronized and paired dataset targeted at sim-to-real domain adaptation. We intended to keep pose distributions the same across domains because we are not able to adapt the black box model to different pose distributions. This ensures that the poses in source and target domain are equally known to the source model and performance gains or drops can be attributed to the domain adaptation method. Paired data is only used for validation. We consider 4 different domain adaptation settings with varying domain shift. Settings 1 to 3 are based on our dataset. In setting 1, we only modify the avatar's appearance in simulation. Setting 2 investigates cross-sensor transfer from synthetic RGB data to synthetic depth data. Sim-to-real adaptation is performed in setting 3, while setting 4 investigates domain adaptation from the serial to the LSP dataset. We found that a cyclical learning rate already increases the domain adaptation performance with CycleGAN, as the orange line shows. Yet we can further increase the domain adaptation performance with the auxiliary task, which also leads to a more stable training process. In setting 1, we are able to almost reach source domain performance, outperforming RegDA. RegDA depends on the predicted poses of the source model that already has to generalize to some extent to the target domain to generate a ground false that is further used in an adversarial training process. Setting 2 shows that RegDA struggles with a large sensor domain shift from RGB to depth data, while this setting is successfully handled by our image translation-based method. The higher the source model's target domain performance, the better the domain adaptation performance of RegDA and vice versa. Again, our image translation-based approach handles the sim-to-real adaptation well in setting 3. Domain adaptation from the serial to the LSP dataset in setting 4 shows a limitation of our approach that might be attributed to many-to-many mappings occurring in this setting. Our method is currently only able to handle one-to-one mappings. The source model's performance on target domain was best in this setting and, as expected, RegDA performs also well. To conclude, we compared RegDA with our approach and emphasize the necessity for explicitly addressing sensor domain shift, especially based on our results in the settings 2 and 3, which have been successfully handled by our image translation-based method. Setting 4 has shown a limitation of our approach that might be attributed to the missing ability to handle many-to-many mappings. This is part of our future research. Thank you for your attention.